I leave Jude and head to my supervisor's office. I pause at the door and take a deep breath before knocking.
Come in.
Good afternoon, Mr. Naleton.
What do you need?
Ugh, his tone is really cold. This isn't going to be easy. I'm sorry, sir, but I lost my mana potion. Can I get an extra bottle of potion?
No.
But...
Listen, miss.
Elise Shelley, employee number C15106.
Listen, Miss Shelley. The rules state that every worker receives a bottle in the morning and another at lunch break.
He is totally disinterested in my explanation. He barely looks up from his desk as he talks to me. I have to make him willing to help me somehow. I suck in a chest full of air and prepare to use the cutest voice I can muster. As far as I can tell from Maison, that means I have to just about squeal my request. Please, please, please give me another bottle of mana! Pretty please. The expression on Mr. Naleton's face doesn't change in the slightest. Well, that was totally embarrassing for me.
Like I said, Miss Shelley, I can't give you another potion because that's against the rules. What did you say happened to the ones you had again?
I drank the potion as soon as I got it in the morning, but lost the one from lunch break. I remember putting it beside the furnace, but I can't find it now.
Why didn't you drink it right away?
Well, I was...
Wait.
Mr. Naleton's eyes widen. He leans forward and lowers his voice.
Do you think someone took it?
No, I wouldn't think that. Mr. Naleton straightens his posture again and crosses his arms.
So where's your potion?
Ugh! He really doesn't want to give me that bottle of mana, does he? Stingy, cheapo. If it has to come to this, then I have no choice but to play my trump card. You should never underestimate a girl in desperation, Mr. Naleton. I bow down my head and stare at my feet. I'm sorry, Mr. Naleton. I pause for a few seconds after speaking in a shaky voice. My boss's face is starting to soften up. He can sense that something's about to happen. At least, that's what I imagine his face is doing. I can't actually see it because I'm still looking down at the floor. When I look up again, I make the most doleful look I can. I stare right into his eyes, my eyelids glistening and my pupils dilated with longing, eyebrows raised and tilted to the forehead, my lips half open as if about to let some words out but lacking courage to do so, and my cheeks pink in shame. Okay, I can't actually look at my own cheeks, and as far as I know, I have never once blushed in my life, but pink is how I visualize them. I promise I'll work really hard today! Please! My boss gapes at me, and almost in disbelief. At last, he lowers and shakes his head with his eyes closed.
Fine. But only this time, you hear?
He rises from his chair, walks to a cabinet at the back of his office, and opens it. From inside the cabinet, he fetches a vial of clear blue liquid. He walks back and hands me the vial. I take it without the least hesitation, and joy soon returns to my face. Thank you, Mr. Naleton. Then, at his yes, no, go away hand gesture, I turn to the door, step outside his office, and slip the vial of mana potion inside a pocket on my work apron. I go back to my working spot, happy after successfully pulling off what the girls at the Maison dubbed the male's inducement technique, first movement. I never asked them about any subsequent movements. In any case, I've got what I wanted. Time to get back to work. This factory produces tons of machinery. Literally tons. Every day. From household appliances to machines for public utility, we have a section for just about everything. The section where I work, though, deals with what people call the boring stuff. We make chassis for various kinds of machinery and assemble components from other sections into these chassis to produce final products. Meanwhile, engines like the mana absorption engine and the magic casting engine are made elsewhere and brought here for the final assembly. But hey, even working on the not boring stuff still mostly involves casting the same magic all day, every day, so how exciting can it be? that's just how work in a factory is. You come in the morning, drink a bottle of mana, use it all up by casting the same magic until lunch. Then you gulp down another bottle of mana after lunch and continue casting that same exact magic again until the end of the shift at sundown. And that's basically my life in a nutshell. Mine and everyone else's. I'm back at my post. A huge empty furnace looms in front of me, silent. I start to focus on courage.
So, Elise, did the boss give it to you?
Had to use my feminine charm, but yes, he did. A clanging sound from the furnace calls my attention. I see that the furnace is now filled with chunks of metal. I think they are aluminum, or is it zinc? That have been dropped by a machine on the upper floor straight into the furnace. I reach out with one hand. Summon. A fire bursts inside the furnace, and the chunks of metal are quickly swallowed by the flames.
Did he take it out of your wages?
I hope not. He didn't mention anything. Do they usually do that?
If they like you, usually not the first time. Just don't make it a habit.
I know. A minute later, the metal has turned completely into burning liquid. A small door at the side of the furnace opens and the liquid streams down through a pipe that distributes it to several different shaped molds. One of the molds is right beside Jude, who has just finished gathering courage in her hand. Once her mold is full with hot metallic liquid, she places her hand a few inches above it.
Nullify.
Jude casts the spell and heat starts gradually leaving the liquid, slowly transforming the molten metal into a solid chassis part. At the same time, more chunks of metal are being deposited into my furnace. I cast fire again. You know, my parents used to say that I have great talents in magic. They said I could become a mage. Too bad nowadays a magician can only become a mage if she graduates from magic school.
Well, you might never become a mage, but you are talented. Look at you handling that gigantic furnace, while the rest of us have these molds.
Yeah, maybe. But I have a feeling that my parents didn't imagine me melting metal for a living when they said that. The metal in Jude's mold has completely cooled. It's ready to be used for the final assembly of a machine. She takes the chassis part out of the mold and puts it on a conveyor belt nearby, which will deliver it to a mechanical system to be assembled together with other parts and engines. Soon, another new machine will have been produced. Yay. This pre-configured mechanical system is made up of gears, belts, roller chains, and a bunch of other things whose names I don't know. The whole thing can be operated simply by rotating the first gear, which is kept in motion by another worker, who continuously casts wind on it throughout the day.
Uh-huh. I guess they wouldn't have.
All parents say this kind of thing about their kids, don't they? They're all like, oh my gosh, I can feel courage from my little baby girl. And she's like, 1. Hello, parents. Newsflash. If your baby can't walk or talk yet, you probably can't get a good feel on her future magical talents. Jude casts another freeze spell on her mold.
Let them talk. None of it matters to us proles anyway. Even if you could cast the strongest magic in the world, that wouldn't mean anything if you didn't have the money to buy mana potions.
I cast another fire. I can't count how many times I've cast the same spell since this morning. We do get supplies of mana from the factory.
But only enough for factory work.
And eating food, drinking water, and even breathing air do restore some mana.
But not by much.
But not by much. It sucks to be poor, doesn't it?
Just be thankful. There are people worse off than us. Some people don't have a job, so they can't make a living at all.
Why do people always do that?
Always do what?
Jude looks honestly puzzled by my question. Saying be thankful, others have it worse. Why do people always say that? Is knowing that my life can be even crappier than I thought supposed to make me feel better? What do I say here? Yup, now that I realize how much more messed up this world is for some other people, I feel so great in comparison. Jude gawks at me with a funny expression, like she wants to laugh, but laughing felt wrong. She doesn't even look mad. It's more like her eyes were saying, "Really, Elise?" We've both gone quiet. Oh, man.
Huh? I sit forward with a jolt. The presenter on the podium is demonstrating some kind of magic machine. I must have nodded off.
So, as you can see, after I've deposited the chunks of metal into the furnace, I can simply put my hand on this pad, like this, and then the furnace turns on and melts the metal. Once all the chunks have melted, the machine automatically transfers the liquid to a mold of your own design, and absorbs all the heat from the molten metal to turn it back into solid. There is also an option to connect the machine to the next system in your assembly line, so the finished part can be delivered to the next system automatically.
Looking around, I see some servants picking up dirty plates from a number of tables in the conference hall. Looks like I slept through lunch. I overhear the conversation of two representatives who are sitting next to me.
What do you think of that machine? Sounds like a great way to boost efficiency in our factories.
I don't think so. It may sound that way, but there are hidden costs that we need to be aware of. First of all, we would need to hire technicians to maintain the machines. Then we'd have to retrain our existing workers. And who would repair the machines if they broke down? We could try repairing it by ourselves, but that would take time. It's easier just to ask the vendor to repair them, which is why these machines usually come with yearly support contracts. Finally, when the machines reach end of life, we would have to replace them with new ones. Frankly, it's just more cost-effective to hire cheap proletariat workers to do whatever these machines do. If the workers start being unproductive, we can easily replace them with other proles.
I see. Well, those are good points.
As I thought, these presenters are just trying to sell shit. It's not even good shit. Looks like the demonstration has ended. The presenter leaves the podium with a few assistants who are carrying his machine. The two representatives resume their chat.
Hey, do you want to go outside for a while?
Yes, I do. The morning session was great, but this afternoon session is rather boring.
Yeah, that second presentation this morning was especially interesting, wasn't it?
Correlation between emotional maturity and magical affinity?
That's the one. All this time we've been thinking that older mages tend to be better with magic solely because of their experience. But maybe that's not all there is to it.
Well, we don't know yet. The speaker himself noted that the findings from his data were not yet conclusive. He even missed some control variables, as Professor Poe pointed out. But his presentation reminded me of that old book, The Magical Mind, by Dr. Shelley. Have you read it?
That's the one that discusses the effects of a magician's psychological state of mind on his magic, right? Yeah, I've read that one. It's a classic. It was published, 17 years ago?
Yes, it is that old, isn't it? Anyway, let's go. I need a smoke.
The two representatives exit the hall to the balcony. They're not the only people leaving, I notice. In fact, I can see more unoccupied seats now than when I came in this morning. This is my chance to leave too. As I stand up, I hear the MC introduce the next speaker.
Our next presenter is a senior in the Department of Magical Science in Conservatoire de Overture, who is currently doing research under the guidance of Professor Johann Poe. Ladies and gentlemen, Franz Byron.
Isn't he that student from before?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Franz Byron, and I want to talk about a research project I'm working on. The title of the thesis is Study and Analysis of Compassion-Based Magic and Its Effects on Inorganic Matters.
Compassion magic? Gods, what is it with these people?
Let me give you some background on why I'm doing this research. We all know about magic machines. Magic machines have benefited society in innumerable ways. People nowadays can use every kind of magic to make their daily lives easier. Fire magic, wind magic, water magic, earth magic, and their variants. All of these can be produced via a magic machine as long as you supply them with mana infused with the corresponding magical traits. But we still haven't gotten a machine to process mana infused with compassion. It just doesn't work. Compassion magic just doesn't materialize except through living beings. Machines can't cast compassion magic. Likewise, casting compassion magic on inanimate objects has absolutely no effect. Now, there are a lot of theories about why this phenomenon exists, but there's still no definitive answer to explain the problem. We don't know why this happens. Nobody does. The benefits of solving this particular problem are obvious. Compassion is an infinitely useful magic, as we all know. Illumination magic, for example, is based on faith and compassion. Overture still relies on illuminators to walk the streets every evening to light the city. If we had a machine to do this work, much time and money could be saved. But the most vital compassion-based magic, quite literally, is healing magic. The first machine was invented 30 years ago, and now we're using them everywhere. Everywhere except in hospitals and clinics. Healthcare would be revolutionized if we could make it into an industry with the help of magic machines. This brings us to my research. In my study, I've come across several reports of cases where inanimate objects were affected by this type of magic. For example, there was a report in the year 305 about a 7-year-old girl who had managed to cast heal on her broken doll and fixed it. Reports like these suggest that in some circumstances, compassion magic can affect inanimate objects. And if that's true, the reverse is likely true as well.
There are murmurs from the audience. This is quite a controversial topic at such a prestigious symposium.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. There have already been numerous research studies on this, and they all fail to make compassion-based magic machines. But those experiments were done a long time ago, back when we could only determine the quality of magic from visual observation. But thanks to recent advances in research, we now have methods to quantify magic. For example, by analyzing the water that is summoned with intelligence-based magic, we found that not all summoned water is the same type of water. Some water is safe to drink, some isn't. Though most water has the same consistency as what you'll find in the Overture River, some water will cause corrosion on metal. We now refer to the latter as acidic. Continuing research has revealed the parameters needed to quantify different properties of water. Using these parameters, we can now calculate how pure the water we summoned is reliably and consistently. Still further studies found this purity level correlates with other magical parameters such as the magical affinity of the caster and the amount of mana used in each spell. Of course, we already knew about this correlation long before that, but at the time we had to rely on visual observation or other human sensory information to determine the quality of water. Now we can do it scientifically. Even before the water is cast, we can calculate it based on the caster's magical properties. The research that provided this result is relatively new, and its results are well known. But without it, we would not be able to, even now, create magic machines that reliably summon drinkable water. Similar results have been achieved with willpower-based magic. For example, we can now determine the type of rock that will be summoned. Discoveries like these have completely remade the construction industry. Being able to quantify magical properties means we can reduce magical science experiments to numerical data points. Simply having that data has led to innumerable advances in technology over the past generation. Still, we have never succeeded in quantifying the properties of compassion-based magic. This is a major part of what I will be doing for my final year project.
The student goes on to explain different kinds of properties that may be analyzed from compassion magic, and the scientific methods to properly measure them to produce quantifiable data. To be honest, I don't give even the slightest damn. Compassion magic is, as I've made remarkably clear for years now, an utter waste of effort in every theater but war. Some people in the audience seem to be listening very intently though. I don't know why. Healing machines are a preposterous idea. If you're wounded, call a doctor to come and cast heal on your wound. It takes seconds. Finally, the student concludes his presentation.
Once I collect enough data, I'll be able to analyze them to find out how compassion-based magic affects different materials under different conditions. If there is a strong positive correlation, I will be able to form a scientific theory on this subject. The theory will be a strong first step. My hope is that it will inspire wider research in the field of magical engineering to figure out the lingering puzzle of the compassion-based magic machine. Thank you.
They're now taking some questions from the audience. I've stopped listening at this point, though. There's just no way compassion magic can be made to work on inanimate objects. It goes against the logic of magic. Anyone who uses magic can tell you that. It would be like burning water. However, for some reason I find myself thinking about his research topic, despite, or perhaps because of, how absurd it is. Compassion. After the questions and answers session has ended, the student goes back to his seat to a warm round of applause. At the same time, the next presenter gets up from his seat and heads to the podium. But the conference hall is emptying out as the afternoon wears on. The audience has halved since this morning by my count. After a while, the presenter's student also gets up from his seat and walks toward the exit. Maybe I should go after him and talk for a bit. That will also give me a reason to leave the symposium. In fact, that sounds as good an idea as any. I catch up to him outside the conference hall. Excuse me.
Oh, hi.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Frederick Godwin. I am here as a representative of Magical Mechanical. His mouth is agape for a second after hearing my name. Godwin is a name that carries weight in this town, thanks to my father, Joff Godwin, the founder of
It's very nice to meet you, Lord Godwin. I'm Franz Byron, a magical science student at this conservatoire. I think we ran into each other this morning.
Lord Godwin is what people call my father. You can just call me by my first name. The student looks startled, but soon regains his composure.
Is that really okay? All right. Nice to meet you, Frederic.
I was being polite, you damn peasant. He should at least have the good sense to continue to use my title despite my offer. What a little imbecile. I was wondering why you picked compassion magic as your research topic.
Why did I pick compassion magic as my research topic? Excellent question. I was wondering that myself. My research topic is quite unusual, I'll admit. A machine that can work with compassion magic, or a machine on which compassion magic will have an effect. Unbelievable. So there was a report of a kid fixing her doll with heel. So what? I wish somebody would have pointed out the obvious. That's what is known as anecdotal evidence. In layman's term, unscientific. Well, unscientific is not technically a layman's term, but my point is that it is crazy to form a hypothesis based on unverified reports. I mean, the first machine was invented 3 decades ago, and for 3 decades we've known that machines don't work with compassion. It's not as if during these 3 decades our best scientists haven't been trying to make them do. The only reason I'm doing the research, of course, is because Professor Poe pushed it onto me. I really had no choice. He's one of the most respected and brilliant minds in magical science. You don't say no to Professor Poe. God, however am I going to graduate?
Oi! You!
Ah, sorry. I was lost in thought. Well, as I said in the presentation, scientific knowledge of compassion magic would have the potential to unlock all kinds of useful inventions, like compassion magic machines. Speaking of magic machines, I suddenly realized something important. I'm speaking to an representative, and he just so happens to be the son of Lord Godwin. and Lord Godwin give the most funding to research projects, especially those that might make money for If I can convince this guy that my research can become the basis of MM's future projects, I may receive a research grant. If we can successfully build compassion magic machines, we'll be able to revolutionize the medical industry. Imagine this: wounds that are easily treatable with a machine, medical equipment for hospitals, the whole experience of healthcare modernized. We might even be able to make medical equipment that can treat diseases rather than just ease pain. Now, time to go for the kill. In fact, it would be a huge benefit to MM's bottom line if they could get into the healthcare business. They might even speed things up by funding my research. I stop talking and wait for a reaction while observing Frederic's face. No reaction. Maybe I was being too obtuse. I mean, so I was thinking that if maybe we could talk about how my research could benefit MM in some way, that might be...
Yes, I think it's interesting.
Excellent! Now I can talk about getting research funding.
Well, good luck on your final year project. Talk to you later.
Wait, what? Wait. I stopped Frederic from walking away. Well, I was thinking, will you have time to talk more about this? I have lots of ideas I'd like to run by you. His eyebrows twitch. His lips are pressed tightly together.
I don't have the authority at MM to approve funds for research projects. I am only here because my father, Lord Godwin, wanted me to attend the symposium.
I see. Well, can you introduce me to someone who normally deals with research projects?
No.
He turns and walks away from me. Is there... He turns to me again, his eyes wide and lips pursed, like he just discovered a dog pooping on his front yard. But suddenly, he smiles. I feel that something is wrong here, but then again, everyone smiles differently.
Actually, there is somebody you could talk to regarding your research.
He puts his hand into his pocket and takes out a crumpled piece of paper.
Just go to that address.
I read the address on the paper. I don't recognize the street name. Oh, thank you very much. Who should I speak with when I get there?
Ask for You know what? Ask for Mrs. Beauvoir. Mrs. Beauvoir will be able to help you out.
Got it. Thank you very much, Frederic. His eyebrows twitch again. Did I pronounce his name wrong?
Don't mention it.
He walks away. He doesn't look like he'll be coming back. Seeing this amputee makes me understand where I actually am. This must be a proletariat district. That explains why everything looks dreary, smells noxious, and feels unclean.
More silence. Not surprising. This piano has been broken since the day it was made, for all I know. But I always like to begin like this.
I'd like to suggest my own student's research project.
A student project? Which one is that?
It's the one about the study of compassion magic, my lord.
Father is harsh. He completely disregards Poe's idea without any comment whatsoever.
Let's start project.